Okay, so let's take our timelines that we're doing and let's change the interest rates as we're looking at our timelines. And this is cool. I think timelines are just quite a bit of fun because you're drawing your timeline and thinking and all of that. Okay, so let's go for it. A savings account is opened with a deposit of 18,000 Rand. Interest rate is 8% per annum compound quarterly for the first 2 years. Okay, so pause, read through it, so you got it yourself. Okay, so a lot of information given to us here, right? And hopefully you read it a bit better than I was rambling through it. And we know that from the context we're in timelines and we're going to go from T0 up to T something or other, and we're going to put money in a few times and that. So let's see. We deposit 18,000 Rand right at the beginning. So there it is. Then interest rate, let's just check. It looks like we don't put anything else in or take anything out until right at the end, and it says the end of 7 years. So at T7, it looks like we're going to take our money out, but we're not putting in or taking out in between that. But the interest rate looks like it's going to change. So I'm going to put a dotted line here and say what's happening with our interest rate. It's 8% per annum quarterly for the first 2 years. So kind of here somewhere at T2, dotted line down here, our interest rate is 8%, 0.08, and that's quarterly. So I'm just putting a quarter to show that. Okay, then things seem to change. It's 9.5% per annum, semi-annually for the next 3 years. So until T5. So a dotted line for this part here, our interest rate is 0.095, and this is compounded semi-annually, so every half a year. And then it changes once again, and what should we go? Pepli. We've got Pepli there for the last bit. 7.5% compounded monthly for the last bit. So our interest rate is 0.075, and this is now monthly. So our timeline now shows all our information quite nicely. So now what we need to do is we need to calculate what our money is right at the end. So at the end, it's accrued to what? Now I'm going to start us off and then see if you can take it from there. We've got our 18,000 Rand, and we've invested that for 2 years at 8% compounded quarterly. So 1 plus 0.08 over 4 to the power of 2 years times 4, 8. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to take that money is grown and it's going to be a certain amount, right? So what it's grown to is this amount over here, right? That's what this big blue blob is. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that, and I guess the blue and the yellow should have lined up. We're going to take that and we're going to invest that for 3 years. So we're not going to work this out and then make a new calculation. It's almost like that's our new principal amount, and we're going to invest that in for 1 plus 0.095 over 2. We're going to invest that for 3 years for 6 compounding periods. And that's going to grow to a certain amount over here. And if we take that amount there that we've got at that point, so this whole amount over here is like what's being grown to over here. And we're going to take that and invest that whole amount. That's like what we put in. That's like P value. And we're going to invest that for 1 plus 0.075 over 12 to the 2 years. 12, that's 24. So the idea here is we most certainly want to and need to do this in one big calculation. If you're tempted to go 18,000, that, and then that's your answer, and then make a new equation each time or formula or whatever the difference was, no. We want to do that nice and efficiently and then just put that whole big nasty thing into our calculator. Okay, so let's put them in the calculator, and so let's test your calculator skills. And while I get mine up, hello. Oh, there we go. The question, of course, is what do you get? Okay, so 18, 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 0.08 over not 12. I'm so used to it being compounded. That to the power of 8, guess I could have hit the pause button, but you can watch me do this for once. 0,095 over 2 to the power of 6. I was just about to say, I hope that I'm not making too many mistakes, and there's a mistake there, to the power of 6, and that whole thing is getting multiplied by 1 plus, it's in the way for me, 0,075 over 12 to the power of, I don't know what's going on there, 24. And we get 32354, 32354, comma 8. What's in the way? Comma 8, still in the way. 86. Okay, so there's our idea for that. So that's for the next one. Ask some questions as we go along a bit more. What we're going to do in this one now is we're going to change our interest rates a bit, and we're going to withdraw and deposit money more than once. So we're still going to start off here. Let's give ourselves some space at T0, and we're going to end off at T. Let's do it over here. T something or other. And we're going to have a timeline, and now loads of stuff is going to happen. So let's keep our wits about us. Pause so that you can read through all of that. And yeah, actually, pause, put it all in the timeline, and say yes, woo, yay, blah, 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 when you're ready to go. And let's hope that this time nobody's, Bruh. Okay, I think we know who it is though. So go for it, fill it in. See how you go in filling in your timeline. Okay, so I'm going to just walk us through, because you've got to go 5,700 is deposited. There it is. 2 years later, further, that is deposited. So that's going to get put in at T2. I always like to look at the end of 8 years. So we know that this thing finishes at 8. So I know that my T2 is kind of like 4 is about there, right? Doesn't have to be perfectly to scale, but I think it helps a bit. 1,900. Final deposit is made 5 years after the initial deposit. So that means at T5, so there's 6, T5 is probably around about there, right? So at T6, wait, what did I say? I can't. T5, I think. T5, 4,100 is put in. 4,100. Okay. Interest rate for the first 3 years is 13%. So now with our interest rates, they seem to change along the way. I equals 13% per annum compounded quarterly. Okay, so 0,13, and that's quarterly. Then it's 11.2 compounded monthly. So now our interest rate is 11.20112, and that happens monthly, so 12, and that happens all the way to the end. Okay, so there's our colorful timeline, and we're ready to go. So let's go through this. I'm just going to run through this one now. You've made a good effort in your timeline, and say that 5,700, we're going to look at each amount by itself. We didn't withdraw anything, did we? Like this, deposit into that, deposited, and a final deposit, blah, blah, blah. It's increased, decreased. Okay, wait, interest rate for the 3 years is compounded that, and then decrease compounded monthly. Okay, so just checking I got everything there. Calculate the accumulate. I was just worried that some money was withdrawn instead of deposited. Okay, so we're going to accumulate, and this is going to get busy. 5,700 is going to go along, and we're going to, for 3 years, it's going to be merrily going along at 13% so that's for 3 years. Then it's going to keep going until the end. So 1 plus until the end. But now the interest rate is 0,112 over 12. And that's 3 to 8 is 5 years times 12 gives us 60. So that's the 5,700 accounted for. Now let's add in the 1,900. So 1,900 we put in, and for that one it's only in a year for 13%. So 1 plus 0,13 over 4 for the 1 year, 4 quarters. And then that's going to carry on for 3 to 8. So that part's going to look the same as that. 1 plus 0,112 over 12 to the 60. And then finally, we're going to go plus, what's in the way? Plus, and I'm going to put my plus over here so that you can see it. And maybe we do that. The 4100. So 4100. Well, that's just invested for 3 years at this percentage. So 1 plus 0.112 over 12 for 3 years. So there's our formula. So go for it in the calculator. I'm going to pause and come back with my solution, and maybe just a hint to maybe let's save a few of these to the variables. So if you want to maybe put that in variable A because it comes up a few times, this part here in variable B because it comes up a few times, and it's going to make it a bit easier. So into the calculator it goes. Into my left ear it will go. My right ear. Which one's which? This is my right ear. Okay. Into my right ear that will go. And out of my left ear the answer will come in a second. And into the one and out the other ear I get that. And you see that I've got my... let's move that. And I've got my variables that I used, and that helped me quite a bit. So I think we'll leave it at that. I think next time when you come back, let's get ourselves onto the